Welcome back to the episode of Unranked Podcast. I have myself, Grant, along with Eli. What we're going to do is go ahead and just kind of talk about Summer League, something that we're both pretty excited about. We've got the Pistons. They start up playing in Portland on Friday. So we're going to be just doing what we can to keep a close eye on what they're doing, especially with our team being, majority of our team being on this roster and probably getting a good amount of run over the next couple weeks. So, Eli, I'm going to throw it your way. What are your thoughts as far as going into Summer League? We got quite a few guys on here, obviously guys from the Pistons from last year, and then some guys that are kind of trickling in from college, of course. So just want to give your first thoughts what the roster is looking like. What you think?
Yeah, so I would say I kind of see what we're doing here. I can't imagine some of these guys touching the actual floor as far as like Cade or maybe Sadiq Bey or mainly those two guys. I can't see them touching the floor here. But what they are going to do is they're going to practice. They're going to be together. They're going to build some of that early work as far as camaraderie and teamwork and knowing how people are going to be acting on the court. So I think that's kind of what they're doing that for. But as far as Summer League, who I'm excited to see, obviously the winner of the draft, and that's Jaden Ivey.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see him, really show flashes of dominance. I want to see him attack the basket like he did in college. I want to see how that jumper is going to transition in with a little bit bigger players, a little bit faster players, a little bit better defense. Just want to see how all of that's going to flow for him. And second player that I'm most excited to watch in the Summer League, and that's Michigan faithful and Isaiah Livers. I think he showed a lot. We know him very well because he played at Michigan. But outside of that, even if you didn't know him until he hit the Pistons jersey, you could tell that he had flashes last year where he was hitting, especially near the end of the year, when he started to get a little bit of playing time. He can really shoot the ball, and I'm excited to see him take that as well as develop a more of a well-rounded offensive game. But I don't have a doubt that he can shoot very well. And so those are the two players I'm most excited about. And so who are you kind of looking at? I know you texted me about the roster as far as some of the players you've had a closer eye on in college. So who's kind of standing out to you?
Yeah, so like you said, it'll be real interesting to see who all plays. I mean, you got Killian. I mean, I know his class, they didn't get a chance to play in Summer League just with the pandemic and such. So, I'm wondering if he'll play. I mean, I feel like Killian's kind of like, this might be like a make or break year, for him just with this team. And I'm, I just feel I've always kind of been like, I wouldn't say like I'm like a huge fan of his, but also I'm more just kind of like, we should just kind of see what happens with him just because he is 17 or 19, 20 years old. Pass the ball really, really well, plays defense really, really well. I think it could be, like a perfect fit for that, like that second unit, like running point for them, giving Cade a break and stuff here and there. So I just want to see how they plan on using him and how much they plan on playing him, because I do think that he should play. And of course,
200% agree with that.
Yep. And of course, Jaden Ivey, now somebody that we were talking about heavy. Happy that he landed with us, obviously. Just wanted to see, what he'll be able to do. Getting on the court, the competition. I was going to have some college kids there. I'm also going to have, some teams might have quite a few guys that have already played in the league here and there, already played in the G League. So I just want to see how quickly he's able to adapt. And another person that I'm really just excited, I'll be honest, I'm pretty excited to see is Buddy Boeheim. Watched him in the tournament. It was a couple years. Might have been last year, or even the year before.
I feel like he's been in college for so long.
Yeah.
He's one of them guys.
4-year guy, I'm pretty sure.
Like Perry Ellis.
Yeah, right. Like it legit feels like he's been in school for like 5+ years. I think he was a senior when he graduated. Might have just been a junior. I do remember a couple years back in the tourney, he got like super hot against a couple different teams in the first and second round. I always say that you can never have enough shooting on an NBA team ever. So that might be, a little bit of a diamond in the rough there we can look into. And then one other person is Cameron McGusty. So watched him play in a tournament this past year. I believe he scored 27 in one of their games. They went all the way to the Elite Eight, if I'm not mistaken, at least the Sweet 16. And I was able to just watch him, just see him, really just get his own bucket. So I just think that's something that, I always felt like the Pistons could use, is just somebody that could like kind of create their own shot off the dribble, get to the cup. So might be a couple little diamonds in the rough here, some people we can store away, on the G League team, throwing some 10-day deals here and there throughout the season when guys get injured and stuff. And yeah, I mean, I plan on definitely being tuned in and watching, just seeing how, who they decide to play, who's not going to play, and yeah, see how it goes.
Yeah, so I think there's a common theme with sorry, I'm looking at stats right here, but I think there's a common theme with all of these players we're bringing in, and that's they can shoot.
Yeah.
And from Buddy Boeheim, I just looked it up. He's a career like 36% guy in college. 36%, and he played over 120 games.
Yeah.
And then you got McGusky. I just looked. Has played in 148 career games.
Yep.
And shoots 340. So I think they're bringing guys who have lots of games under their belt, a little bit of experience, and they're really just looking for a couple of these guys to hit. And like you said, just kind of put them on the G League, have them develop, see if they fall into the rotation, and see if they can get hot. Before we hopped on, I'm not trying to steal your thing, but before we hopped on, you talk about a Duncan Robinson, or somebody along those lines where you make a name for yourself in the G League just solely off of becoming a marksman. And this is what I do here. And we are still looking for those. And as well as you brought up the guy, I already lost him out of space here, but the guy from Florida, Florida State, I believe you said.
Balsa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another guy, I'm sure has, over 80, 90 games under his belt and shoots very well. So I think common theme here of we're bringing in guys similar to Livers. Livers, another guy, played lots of good basketball at Michigan, and was a snipe shooter. So I think, we see the blueprint here, and it's going to be exciting. I think lots of guys, like you said, Killian has a prove it year, and a couple of other guys are just going to be fun to watch and see if they can put their opportunity together.
Yeah. Yeah, and the one thing I'm just kind of also looking at too, you got guys here from the Motor City Cruise, how much they're going to play, because obviously roster's pretty big. These got close to 20 guys on here, right around 15 to 17 guys on here. You got to imagine, like we already said before, like Cade, Sadiq, and Isaiah probably won't play. So I will just be interested to see what the starting lineup's going to look like. Who gets who gets more run. I'd like personally to see, more of the rookies get more of the run. I want to, see both the Boeheim brothers play quite a bit. I'd like to also see Balsa, looks like he ended up overseas, do a little bit more research on that. This is where he was at the last season. Looks like he might have went overseas and played a little bit there. And then you just got, it got some guys. I'm looking at the guy Stanley Umud at the bottom here from Arkansas. He played under Arkansas was pretty good this year. Made it all the way to the Sweet 16. I know we had talked about the Foster kid a little bit before he jumped on from Howard. So yeah, I just want to really to see what these guys.
Another guy looks like he's a shooter.
Yeah, he said 4% from three.
In the 40s from 3-point this year. So there is as I said earlier, there's the blueprint, and I just I still like where we're headed. Before earlier we talked about Garza not being on the team anymore. I still think he has a place in the league, so we're bringing in good talent.
Yeah.
I don't think that's an issue at all. It's going to be just to be able to manage it and make sure we're keeping the right ones, because I think he definitely has an eye for talent, has an eye for players that are maybe just needs a little bit of extra touch, and then be a phenomenal NBA player. So I'm in general.
Go ahead. Well, I was just going to say another person I'm very curious about too is even Saban Lee, because he's played quite a bit. So it'd be interesting to see if he even plays much. And I also kind of feel like, I think he's met expectations just because he was a second round draft pick. But as we, move on this rebuild process, I'm just kind of laughing because I thought of a tweet that somebody said that they're not sure we should have gotten Jaden Ivey because we have Saban Lee and we're excited about his growth. But nothing against him. He's like a 6'2", like, you know, he play off the ball a little bit, point guard. I like his game, but I just don't really know if he's gonna be in the cards long term. But it definitely depends on, you know.
But he's the type of player that he's an asset.
Yeah.
Proven that if you give him some playing time and some trust behind him, that he'll do something with that. So
yeah,
that's maybe we can get back a second round pick for him or something along those lines.
Yeah,
at least he has value in the NBA.
Right, he could push Killian too, you know, because I think him and, you know, those two, you know, depends on if we're bringing back, you know, Corey Joseph and some of these other guys that were kind of, you know, handling the ball here and there. But I think he can definitely push Killian, you know, to be that like second unit point guard. So yeah, I don't like. It'd be interesting to see how much he plays. Killian should definitely play. I mean, you know, obviously quite a few of these guys are gonna be kind of sitting and hanging out. But we'll all find out in due time on Friday. So
100%. I think, you know, I forgot. I think it's Portland first. Indiana's in there somewhere. So I think, you know, it's going to be, you know, I'm assuming Benedict Mathurin will play. That's another guy I'll be interested to see. You know, with guy we talk a lot about, a guy that is failed in our division that we both know is going to be a very formidable player. So, you know, that kind of early 5-6 draft pick matchup. You know, a lot of good basketball to look forward to. And you know, and as far as other things, you know, we officially signed Bagley. You know, we got that done. And the roster seems to be pretty much well shaped. Yeah, shaped and formed. And we see the full vision. I think he was a 36 million on 3 or 4 years, I think. So you know, a good contract for him and a good contract for us, really.
Yeah. And just to even, you know, kind of start to talk about free agency a little bit. I mean, I think this might sound kind of crazy. I think one of my favorite picks or signings might have been Kevin Knox. You know, I feel like New York had a lot of talent on that team that just didn't get played the right way. And he didn't really play much last year, ended up getting traded to Atlanta. But when he did play for the Knicks, I remember him 1 year, he played like 50 or 60 games, averaged like 9 points off the bench, if I'm not mistaken. 37% from three. Always feel like anytime you're shooting like over like 35%, that's pretty respectable clip to be shooting from. I pulled up some of his highlights. He had a couple of games where he had like 27 and 15. One game where he had like 28 points. You know, so he definitely has that like explosion like in him. I've kind of been just even comparing him to Duncan Robinson type. You know, they're kind of, you know, big, long or tall wings that can spread the floor a little bit. So I've seen him be able to go to the cup, you know, finish inside the 3-point line as well. That's something that Duncan and I've heard they tell him like don't even like take more than a dribble. So I imagine Kevin Knox got a little bit more athleticism in his game to where he'd be trusted to be able to go to the cup here and there, create for others or create for himself. So I think that's somebody to where we can potentially kind of like his like redemption, like his where he can redeem himself. You know, we can, you know, be the ones that kind of bring out more, you know, of his potential. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
It's so odd when you look at a player like him who is on their second destination. They've had flashes where they look amazing. They've had flashes where, you know, maybe not so hot, injuries, a lot of stuff, and he's like 22. Yep. And it's amazing that, you know, when you come in the league so early and you kind of get thrown to the wolves, that's kind of where the league is now. But a lot of those players do. I think of like Malik Monk. Think of a player like that from recent that just needed a new ground.
Yep.
Find a new space for him, a new role, new expectations, and it all's better now. You know, so right. I think that's kind of the what's the word I'm looking for? That's kind of the perfect situation for him. We bring him in, and he is a designated shooter for us. The one weird thing I always find odd with players like him is I sent it to you, but he shot worse from two than he did from three, which is such an odd stat to see because you never see that. You never see a person shooting 39% from three and 33% from two. It's an odd pairing. But like you said, when you're a designated 3-point shooter, that means a lot of those 2 points are probably either layups or, you know, you just kind of got trapped with the ball at the last second. So,
right. Yeah. So yeah, it's been so far. I mean, I would say this is probably one of the best Detroit Pistons off seasons I've ever been a part of, at least I can remember. And I think that we're on the right page. I love this roster. Players that I'm seeing. I mean, these are guys that I recognize in college that played very well and played at a high level, and even made some solid tournament runs. So those are things you love to see, as a Pistons fan, and see how they're able to potentially either contribute to our G League team and kind of just develop and just build on what they've learned, or even potentially make the roster and be a part of that, be a part of the team during the season and getting in and helping out. So we'll see what happens.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'm excited as well. Friday, I think we're going to try to get back at you some point this weekend. Maybe we'll have a game or two under our belt, and hopefully we got some Jaden Ivey drop stack dunks to be excited about.
Yeah. 100%.
No, for sure. Anything else for the people?
That's all, man. Like I said, looking forward to just seeing what this young core does, and we'll be back with you next week to kind of recap after watching a couple games.
Yes, sir.